Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
And now, Tim Dillon is going to hell with Tim Dillon and Ray Kump.
Welcome to Tim Dillon is Going to Hell, everybody, from Los Angeles, California, here with a great podcast, a returning favorite to the show, the great Jessa Reed.
Hello.
Thank you. And her partner in crime, not crime, her partner in good living now, Aaron Woodall, right? Woodall?
No H. This is Woodall.
Woodall.
Aaron Woodall.
Aaron Woodall, the Mormon and the Meth head, is the podcast.
Yeah, I'm the Mormon one.
Yeah. They know.
Yeah. When did you guys start this adventure?
We met last October at a comedy festival in Billings, Montana. Big Sky Comedy Fest. And something clicked right away. I had just quit Mormonism, and I was telling her all about it. And she was telling me about when she quit meth. And it was like very similar stories. There's two very different kinds of drugs that you can be addicted to. And so we started swapping these stories and said we should make a podcast about this.
Now, you grow up Mormon in the church. Do you grow up in Salt Lake?
I actually grew up in Maryland. I grew up on the East Coast where there aren't many Mormons. And I think that's why for so long I thought Mormons were pretty cool people. It's just I hadn't met enough of them yet.
Yeah.
And then I did move to Utah when I went to college. I went to Brigham Young University.
And is Brigham Young like the official Mormon school?
Yep. Church owned, church run.
You have to sign something saying you won't jerk off to go to that college.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's called the Honor Code Agreement. You have to sign to a lot of things. And it's like, I'm not going to cheat. But then, and it's like, I'm not going to grow any facial hair. And then I'm going to wear skirts of appropriate length and no yoga pants, and also never have sex and never jerk off and never drink alcohol and never, you have to, it's a whole bunch of shit.
So it is not a secular school. If you're a Mormon, like it's for exclusively Mormons.
Oh no, they'll take anybody. They'll take, if you want to come, you can come.
But
you just
can't come.
You can't, right? Yeah. So you still have to sign the contract, no matter who you are.
Exactly.
It's like a morality clause.
Exactly.
Has anyone been caught jerking off? How does that work? Is there a?
Oh yeah. They really encourage roommates to narc on each other.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But they make it all about how like your roommate is being tempted by the devil and will go to hell unless you step in and be a friend and narc him out. You have to narc him out.
Is that a theme of Mormonism? Is like being a narc?
I don't know if I'd say a theme of it. It's really just a theme at school there. It's really bad there at BYU because everyone's just like, I think like any religion, you had judging people throughout Mormonism, sure. But here, like the judging, you look down on people, but then there's a literal office on campus called the Honor Code Office that deals with people getting tattled on.
It's like the virtue police in Saudi Arabia.
What is that like?
Well, I mean, they just go around enforcing virtues, wearing the veil, whatever it is, men and women fraternizing, is he your first religion? Because I don't have any friends that were devoutly religious. I really don't have any.
I have had a strange attraction to indoctrinated men my whole life. So my first husband that I married when I was 16 was a pastor's kid. My next long-term relationship was a pastor's kid. I dated another guy for a short amount of time, also a pastor's kid. And then I married a Satanist. And was married for 10 years. Tried that out for a little bit. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to the... It's
like your own game of fuck, marry, kill. It's like pastor's kid, Satanist. And I love that you're like, I'm marrying Satan. I am marrying...
Well, obviously.
Yeah. Now, when you say your husband was a Satanist, to me, Satanism, and I've looked into it, and we've done episodes on the podcast about occultism, but to me, Satanism was somewhat of a performative thing. It it was more esoteric. Like it wasn't real.
It's Buddhism. It's like so like LaVey version of
Sure.
Satanism is just it's basically Buddhism, and the Satanism part of it is kind of just a fuck you to. It's like a satire of
Right, it's like-
Jesus. But then you have devil worshippers, and those are just dorks. Those are just dorks
Right.
that listen to goth music and
Satanism's like ego gratification, right?
yeah, do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he go to like black masses and did he do any of that?
No, that's
okay.
way too dorky.
Okay.
Just like a philosophy of
Gotcha. He read the books.
I'll do whatever I want, and just
Did
resonated
you,
with that.
when you married him, did you marry him in like a satanic wedding?
We did have a Wiccan priestess marry us, but that
Great.
was more.
That's Portland.
We were actually in Delaware.
Okay. Well,
and
you grew up in Portland.
All your options are Catholic priests.
Right.
And I'm not Catholic. Definitely
Right.
not Catholic, and I don't resonate with any of that.
Well,
And
Catholicism, Satanism, by the way, very similar.
yeah, very similar.
Very similar.
I just didn't. So I resonate more with a Wiccan priestess than I do with a.
What do you think it is about indoctrinated men that you like? You like men that have it figured out.
I think the innocence probably is
Yeah.
just a contrast. But I'm fascinated with that programming. I
Right.
guess, now that I like dissect it.
Is it
now.
because you lack it?
Yeah, like wrong side of the tracks when I was young. I think I was attracted to it for that. But I did like a 5-year stint. I was a born again Christian for 5 years, hardcore. Didn't watch secular
Wow.
some of my rules were stricter than
Before or after meth?
right before.
Okay. So
I
that's
went into
interesting.
meth thinking I was a backslidden Christian before the alien thing
I
happened.
feel left out because I've never been devoutly religious. I think the closest thing to being religious is the way that I've done comedy. And I've been an addict. So I think I'm religious in the sense that for many, many years, drugs and alcohol were God to
Right.
me. But outside of drugs and alcohol, I've never found a particular ideology that I've surrendered to. And it's interesting because it's one of those things that other than, trying to make it or some bullshit, but I've never, and I grew up Catholic. We're all lapsed Catholics where I come from. Nobody cares. It is Christmas and Easter.
Right, exactly.
Nobody cares. None of my friends cared. I went to Catholic school in high school. They didn't care. I mean, we had, the theater teacher was like making out with kids in the fucking hallway. It was like a cool school.
culture, yeah.
It was
Catholic
cool.
culture.
You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it was like, but so you guys click immediately because this is another indoctrinated man.
Well, here's what's interesting about him rejoining society. When you got clean, were you you're off the
I got
rails when you
clean.
were using?
I was off the rails.
Okay.
And then, I got clean, came out of the closet, started comedy all within a 3-month period of time.
Holy shit.
So I gave up
Whirlwind.
drugs and alcohol and I went into stand-up comedy, and stand-up became the new drug. I transferred addictions.
Right. We
Yeah.
just talked about this changing addictions. Well, so for me, I felt like my journey back into society was putting a monster into a cage, was just trying to get all of these parts of myself back into some semblance of could function in society. And it was a lot of restricting myself and a lot of learning how to do things that normal people do in the sense of working a job, holding down a job, getting a driver's license. And then I'm talking to him and he's in the same process, but
In reverse. I need to get drunk for the first time in my life. I've never tried alcohol, I've never tried weed, I've never tried coffee. I've never had coffee yet. I need to watch pornography. I need to masturbate for the first time. Learn how to
Wait
do
a
that
minute.
well.
Hold on.
I'm exaggerating. I'm
Okay.
exaggerating.
All right. That's
But
fair.
the first time.
No one's that religious.
No. I was close. But I
masturbate without crying afterwards.
Yeah, I felt so guilty. It was the worst thing that I could do, and yet I still did it but it caused a lot of hang-ups. So now I have to learn that, you know what? I'm allowed to touch myself down there. I'm allowed to make myself come. And it takes a lot of, you got to talk yourself up. You have to put on a weird voice like that. It's a weird thing.
I do. I have such a fun masturbation voice. If you ever want to hear this, I can send you my voice if it does anything for you.
We listen to a lot of Tim Dillon
You're getting
videos
there,
on
buddy.
the road,
You're
so.
doing great. Please don't take that out of context. But so it's very interesting. You're like, I got to go and be an American teenager. At what age? At what age?
30. I was
Wow.
a 30-year-old, 15-year-olds.
Well, that's it.
First blowjob at 30 years old.
Crazy.
It was great.
Crazy.
Can't believe I'd been missing out on that my whole life.
Who'd you give it to? Boom! I'm a professional. I'm a professional.
The top of his game.
Thank you. So you're going out there and do you ever worry about like, well, now that I'm kind of going into these waters, do you ever worry about going too far? Do you think to yourself like, I've, gone my whole life without these things. I don't want to, because people develop addictions, people develop sexual things. Does it ever worry you? Do you ever have like an internal censor in you where you're like, I don't want to go too far here?
I ask myself that a lot. I don't think I worry about it too much, though. I tend to go pretty slowly.
Yeah.
The first drink that I had, the first foray into alcohol, I had one vanilla vodka cran tall, and I called it a night. And
Okay.
I was like, that'll be it for right now. Everything that I've tried the first time I tried mushrooms, the first 2 or 3 times I tried mushrooms, I took such a small dose that I felt nothing, because I was just too scared to go too far into it. And I am pretty moderate. I like weed a lot, and that's the one that I ask the most. And I think that's the most Mormon thing about me, is that I'm worried I might get addicted to weed.
Are you holding his hand when he's doing these things, trying mushrooms and stuff? Are you like helping him?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
some of this. He had tried a bunch of the stuff before.
Now, when do you try meth?
That's the one thing that she's like, don't do that one. And but you make it sound so fun.
I mean,
She was there for my first coffee. The first coffee I ever drank was hers. I had 3 sips of her cold brew, and then I just shit for like 24 hours. And I thought, this is coffee? This is what you guys are all about.
this is what it is.
Just all day diarrhea.
Do you have a relationship with your family now, or have they disowned you?
They have not disowned me. That is a real threat for some Mormons. They don't talk about it. I told them, so my wife and I got divorced, and I told them the Mormon thing at the same time I told them the divorce thing. So I just snuck it in there. I was just like crying and crying. I was like, oh, she left me. And also I left the church.
Okay.
And then, so they couldn't even really yell at me. I made sure they couldn't push me too hard on it.
Do you have kids?
I do.
Was part of it not wanting the kids to be raised in that type of environment?
I think I held on the opposite. I think I held on to Mormonism for longer than I wanted to, because I thought, how do I raise a kid without religion? Like, how do I raise a kid that's not, I liked being raised in the church, and I was like, how do I teach my kid about what life is and what death is and what good and bad and right and wrong are without church? And I was like, they had taught me that like they had all the answers, and I wasn't going to be able to give my son any of the answers if I left them. And so I think I held on to that for a long time. When I finally hit a breaking point, both my ex-wife and I quit at the same time. We hit our breaking point, and then all those fears turned out to just be so silly, because it's like, oh, it's actually way easier to raise a kid outside of a religion, because I get to make up all the rules, okay? I get to decide what happens when we die. I get to tell him whatever I want.
So this is like a project for you. You found this guy. He needs to be reintroduced into society. You're like a parole officer.
We came into each other's lives at a time where I unexpectedly was starting to open up. I've just never been vulnerable. I've been very hard my whole life.
Yeah, you're tough. And
Yeah.
still, to this day, you're tough. And even when you're vulnerable on podcasts, and I watch a lot of what you do, you still are, you own, you own yourself and your past and everything you've done and everything that's happened to you in a way that like very few people do.
Yeah, even that vulnerability, even that what looks like vulnerability is just me being like, here, I will lay this out on the table because that way you can't get to it. Everything is by my design and I'm in control of all of it. And something in this last year, it was time for me to reconcile some pieces of myself that I hid. And I had a real negative relationship with feelings. A real, I didn't allow myself to feel feelings. I didn't allow myself to feel sadness or anything. I didn't stuff them, but I just would rationalize myself out of everything because I had a lot of shame around emotions.
It's survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came into my life at a time where that was just starting to open up for me. And he was the first person that had ever come in my life where I saw someone who was in touch with his feelings and that felt things and had this kind of childlike
and didn't hate them for it.
Yeah, and I liked it. I liked that quality in him. So all of a sudden, since I respected him, I started to see those qualities in a way that I started to allow them to exist in myself, where I think this might have manifested as a psychotic break otherwise. And then also now I had a friend in my life who understood those qualities and would respect those qualities, where the people who have been in my life for a long time were just I never cried in front of anyone.
Right.
I never emoted in front of anyone before. So
it's a mutual project.
Yeah, it's a trading pieces of each other.
Yeah, she's has helped me through.
Is it a friendship? Is there a romantic angle? Is there any? Where is it? Is it? I can't tell.
You can't tell?
Well, I think it's a very. I don't know if you guys can tell. I think that it's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's the way it feels to me. Nothing feels this like concrete. Everything feels. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
We're actually aunt and nephew is our relationship.
Well,
no,
sometimes
that is a huge porn category. So.
You hit the nail on the head on that. I don't know if you guys know, because I think we just figured it out, but for a year we didn't know. The theme song to our podcast says that we're friends, and it's what we said for a very long time, that we are just friends. But there was this instant, eternal, it felt very old and lived in friendship. We had just met and we felt perfectly in sync, and that something that someone was missing, right? And I don't think I didn't want it to be romantic at all in the beginning, because I thought that would cheapen whatever it was that we had. It felt I also had a bunch of fear of intimacy shit. But anyway, it took a year of this weird connection that we had that did cause us to get into a lot of fights, but also caused us to make really great art together and learn a lot about each other. It took a year of that before I finally said, do you want to just be my girlfriend? Is that what you, would you like that?
Yeah, so we're 3 weeks into that.
Wow. 3 weeks in. Had you guys hooked up before that?
Yo, we've been fucking almost the whole time.
Oh, okay. Look at you two pulling the wool over my eyes. So 3 weeks in, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's an interesting dynamic that you guys have, because you do a podcast together with each other. You are helping each other in these different areas of your lives, you know? How different is this from every other relationship that you've been in? Because, this is a different thing, right? The idea that you're collaborating on projects, you're working together, is that really different, or does it not feel that different?
For me, it feels incredibly. This is way different than the relationship I just got out of, because Jessa loves me, and that's
right.
a huge change. But I also have only been in that and this relationship. As a Mormon, I didn't date, didn't have girlfriends. I went on a mission. I came home and I got married to the.
There are so many hot Mormon guys. I watched a Mormon porn the other day.
You think there's hot Mormon guys?
Well, yeah, I forget what it was called. Maybe it's not a porn. It's like a what's the porn that's not a porn that has a storyline and it's a movie?
Movies?
Softcore maybe.
Like Showtime?
I think it's called Latter Days or something, and it's about these two Mormons on a mission, and they're two young men on a mission, and they find not so much God but each other, and
Nice.
I always see these Mormons on the train in New York, and they're always very well dressed, kind of twinky, and it's like it seems. Is there a lot of weird, because you go on that thing, right? That pilgrimage, the mission.
Yeah.
What is that like? Do you go on with another dude?
Yes.
And you spend a lot of time together?
Yes.
And
All
you-
your time together.
All your time together.
I love talking about this. This is the most fascinating social experiment I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
You at 19, now it's 18.
Yeah.
Whenever. You're a teenager. This is your first experience out of home.
Yeah.
You've never been away. You haven't gone to college or anything yet. And they give you a good degree of autonomy. Like you're in charge of your day for the most part.
And they give you money?
No, you got to pay for yourself, but you do have, you've got some money.
And where do you go?
Wherever the Lord wants you to go. So,
And who determines that?
these like old dudes in a room who get all your name and picture, and then they point to a map or so. I don't know if they throw a dart or whatever. But some people get sent to Missouri. Sure, sorry about that. I got to go to Italy. That's where God wanted.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where God
Dude, that
wanted
is
me to go.
hilarious. I love that. Where are you going? On the Amalfi Coast. Where are you converting people? Kansas.
Ozark.
Because here's the thing: the shittier places, you've got much better chances to convert, right? Nobody in fucking Palermo or wherever is coming over to Mormon. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
No, they're not. No one is. No one is. They're all
Lake Como, just walking around. Hi, how are you? Good. Listen, Joseph Smith. Like nobody's. Yeah.
And Lake Como, I did walk around Lake Como and talk to people. It's
hilarious.
My opening line.
You're just talking to just Greek shipping magnates and their third trophy wife about coming over.
I would just talk about my opening line was always about George Clooney.
Yeah.
Because they would see that I was an American.
Who's not a Mormon.
He's not, but that's just a good. You can segue George Clooney into Joseph Smith in like a couple of sentences.
So now you go. Do you have any say of who you go on this trip with?
No, man. You are thrown together. What?
I was going to say tell them this story, but it's probably not a good podcast story.
It's a good visual. Anyway, you get put together with a companion. That's what you call him. He's my companion.
I know it well.
24/7.
Well, that doesn't happen. But go on.
The only time you were...
I was with you until you said 24/7. I think when you were like, and you were with him for 20 minutes. I'm like, yes, very much. I understand. And then never see them again. Yes, companion. That's exactly what I would... Yes.
You are stuck with them, and you're not ever sure for how long. At least 6 weeks is the usual minimum that you're going to be with this person.
And do you know that person prior? Potentially.
Maybe if you grew up in the same Mormon town together, but I don't think there was anybody in our mission that like knew each other from home.
Did you have a person who was cool, or did you have a?
I had several throughout because you're out there for 2 years. You don't come home for 2 years, and every 6 weeks is a transfer. You're usually with a companion for like at least 2. But I had some people that I hated, some people that I loved. But pretty much even if you're best friends with someone, and I was best friends with some of them, you can't spend that much time with a person and not. Like have a fight or two, There's just
I've said this. All of my close friends, and this is without exception, I strongly dislike. I love many of them, but they have very objectionable personalities, as do I. And so, any time we spend together is best case. We refer to it as a chore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is plus no one's coming.
No one is coming. Yeah.
You sleep in the same bedroom, but not in the same bed. That's a literal rule in the same
Dude,
bedroom.
do you know how much I don't want to keep derailing this, but so much hot shit has happened on these fucking trips that can not even be quantified.
You can't.
Hey, would you guys like to go extra long in the bedroom? Of course you would. Anybody would. Well, listen, there's a great way that you can do that. We have a bulletproof way for you to increase your stamina. Blue Chew offers men a performance enhancement for the bedroom. Let me tell you about Blue Chew. It is a chewable. It has the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but it only takes a few minutes. Let me tell you, no doctor visit, no awkward conversation, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. It ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. Nobody else
else will be asking you what the hell's going on with your dick. It's a great deal. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first order free. When you use promo code TD, just pay $5 shipping. That's BLUEChew.com, promo code TD. Looking to last longer, go a few extra rounds, increase your stamina. This is for you.
Yeah. So now your goal is to convert.
Yes.
You're out there spreading the word.
Yes.
This is amazing. This reminded me a little bit of like when you do your story for This Is Not Happening, which everybody should watch on YouTube. And you're talking about you fall in love with meth, and then you come home and you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
And no one is happy for you.
Yeah.
And you're out there being like,
No, we would have been great companions.
yeah, I mean, it's just,
I'm very,
because that's like kind of your thing where it's like nobody in the world is happy for you. And you're like, I found the truth.
Right.
Everyone's like,
really believed it.
Right.
It meant so much.
Does your companion always believe it, or are they like, did they ever turn around to you and go, buddy, what the fuck are we doing? Is there ever that moment? Because that would have been me. Like, is there ever a moment a guy looks at another guy and goes, we could be getting laid right now. We could be at a bar getting hammered. We could be doing an open mic. Like, what are we doing?
Yes. I didn't run into too many of those, and I also think I was so goddamn serious about it. No one would have dared to no one would have thought that they would have had a chance in convincing me to do anything other than knocking on every Italian woman's door and telling her about the restored gospel. That's what I was like, oh, I'm there for it. But there's a whole range of kids that go. There's a lot of kids that go just because you're pressured to go. Your Mormon parents want you to go, and if you don't go, you're a failure. They're a failure as parents. It's awful. So you're just forced to go even though you don't believe it. And some people are hiding that secret inside of them and feel really bad about it. The kid that I trained, he didn't believe it and he didn't want to be there, and it was really hard for him. There was another kid that I know though who came, openly admitted that he didn't believe it. He was like, yeah, I don't believe this stuff, but my parents wanted to be here, and he was the coolest fucking guy.
Yeah, of course he was.
I was so wound up. I remember him reading, like trying to tell me about like this Sports Illustrated magazine that he was reading. We're not supposed to be reading any outside media other than like church, like written shit. And I was like, I can't, I don't. And he's like, don't you want to know how the Padres are doing? And I'm like, I can't. I can't. And he's just like off flirting with Italian women. And his companion.
Yeah, drinking cappuccino.
I don't know where Austin is.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is. He's just off flirting with beautiful girls, and we're all freaking out.
It's such an amazing story. Do you relate at all, Jessa, to like the idea of, because eventually you give up on the church, so you have that split second moment, and I think it's kind of like what you had, where you're with the P and you're in your sister's house, and you're like, that was kind of the light. Right?
The real light, that's I had to consolidate that because the story was an hour and a half long. But the real light, I think probably took about 6 months to happen.
Okay.
And I stopped shooting up and then kind of just started seeing things. I came down a little bit and started seeing things the way they were. But I really, when I decided to get clean, was got on an airplane because I was being treated poorly in a relationship, like real poorly. And was like, I'm going to keep going back if I don't leave. So I got on a plane to move to the East Coast. And then on the plane, I had arranged for people to send me meth. And this is right after the sister's house. This is within a week or something. And I had arranged for people to mail me meth in Delaware because I'd already scoped it out and found out they don't have it there. And then it was just like, these tweakers are going to rip me off. I'm going to send them money. They're never going to send me the meth. I'll just quit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have the weirdest getting clean.
It's such a business decision.
Yeah, as you can see why that flopped on stage.
But here's what it is. What's interesting about it, and I've had similar moments where it's like it's really not the movie story that people want to hear. It's not the moment that people think it would be. You're not lying in a gutter, and you don't have this white light experience that people think. But it's just something that just you go, there's another way. I could just not do this.
Yeah.
So it's really whatever puts you in that headspace of going, hey, I could just turn right. Like I could just go another way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's interesting. And a lot of times it's not, a lot of people in life, I don't want to say most people, but a lot of people in life don't ever have these massive transformations. Like you've had a massive transformation.
Yeah.
I've had a big transformation. A lot of people go through their entire life and they have a relatively stable life compared to three of us, where I'm a completely different person in many ways, not always, but in a lot of meaningful ways than the person I was 5 years ago.
Exactly, yeah,
You know,
same.
10 years ago, and you guys certainly are too. Do you find that the people in your life are people that have had those transformations, or people that are going to be pretty static figures that are pretty dependable, somewhat conservative, not politically, but in the sense of temperament, where it's kind of like, are you attracted to people that have had those massive shifts and or do you surround yourself with people that are kind of sturdy?
I kind of switch characters almost every 5 years. The people that I have around me are different. So there are people from all these different versions of me throughout my life. And we're kind of Facebook friends, and we'll be friends for life. But I tend to, I don't want to say evolve like a dick, but, I tend to shift into different ways of thinking and opening my mind and stuff at a more rapid pace than the people around me. One of the things and I'm attracted to people like that. I'm attracted to introspective people that are looking to get better, that are looking to change things about themselves, that are self-aware.
Yeah. One of the most controversial things I ever said was I make new friends every 2 years.
Yeah.
My friends change every 2 years. Doesn't mean I don't love people.
Yep.
The other thing is friendships have a golden age. You have a golden age of a friendship.
Yep.
And then it's over. And it doesn't mean that your friendship is invaluable and you can't be friends for life. But I've always found that as you move through life, you're thrust into situations with different people because you're fundamentally different. And so you require different things at different times from people, and then you kind of move on. And it doesn't mean that you don't love the people you're not seeing, but it means that and people get mad at me for that. People get very angry.
Yeah.
They get very angry when I say that, and they go, I've had the same 5 friends for my whole life. And it's like, well, okay, but that's you, and that's kind of sad in a way that you're on this planet and you grew up with 5 people. And maybe it's just sad because I don't have that experience, but you grew up with 5 people, you all did Girl Scouts together, and now you've all been in each other's wedding parties, but you've never gone out there and, met other people. You never married a Satanist or did meth like me. You never bought a house with a subprime mortgage and blew it up your nose. These are things you should be doing. Are you a guy that do you keep the same people? Are you switching people up a lot?
I always wanted those friends that I saw in movies that were friends since birth and were there for prom and then there for weddings and there at funerals and stuff. That always sounded so nice to me. I never had that. Thinking about your question about, I think I surround myself with open-minded, introspective people, but I don't think many of them are going through huge changes. I do think most of them are more or less static. I mean, I've got lots of ex-Mormon friends like me, and that's a kind of a change or whatever. But no, I don't.
He is though. He's like that. So that's the most attractive.
Well, I don't know if I was ever
to
going.
Me is someone who's constantly thinking about what their true motives are and looking for parts of themselves that aren't serving them anymore and changing them and stuff. It's an extremely attractive, rare quality in a person, because that's a person who 5 years from now is going to be a completely better version of himself.
I tend to find that I like the same types of people. They cycle in and out, but they're always full of shit. They're always con artists. They're liars. And these are the people all of my friends are pathological liars. They are driven by self-interest. They do help each other, and some of them are good people, even though this sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but they're good people, but they're bad people. They're this interesting kind of person that, a lot of them pretend to have more money than they do. They pretend to be more successful than they are. They sneak into parts of society where they don't belong. They're chaos. They're chaos people.
Interesting.
And those are a lot of the people that I find that I like. I mean, I have a friend that lives here in LA that I stay with who's, nuts. I mean, I love her, but she's completely nuts. And, she walks around, 3-star restaurants in sweatpants screaming at people. And she, sleeps next to an Emmy she won 10 years ago. And she's, she has it on her bedstand. And I woke up in her house yesterday and she had shamans running around burning leaves because she wanted to clear out the energy. Because she goes, I'm going to get married in 2019. And then I said to her, but you're already married. She goes, we'll figure that out. So these are the types of people that I'm drawn to. And I don't know. I think eventually I'll have to mature and grow out of that. Maybe. But I don't know. I kind They're always nuts.
What is your role in that dynamic? Are you the calm in the middle of the chaos?
No.
Are you the life coach? Because I attract a lot of people who, from an alien school perspective, people who are just need some dots connected so they can wake up. But that quickly devolves into this life coach dynamic where I'm just fixing them all the time or putting them back together. I turn into a therapist, and that has a lot to do with why I shift out of friendships, because after a while I feel like I'm being fed on, and I
don't know. One of the folk singers that I like, Dar Williams, hopefully it doesn't hurt her career, but she said something, and she was probably quoting somebody else. I hate to give people credit for things and then have these idiots on Twitter be like, well, it was actually said by, it's like, you can get a life. What are you doing? She said, I don't do things for the moral of the story. She goes, I do them for the story. And I think a lot of the friends that I have are kind of summed up in that. I don't do them for the moral of the story. I do them for the story. It is a fantastic story. These people are interesting and kind of crazy. They are, always trying to reimagine reality, and they're trying to inject themselves into another reality. Like, they are, none of them, I think, have taken the time to know themselves well, nor have I. So I think we're all very much helping each other out, refusing to account for ourselves.
Interesting. No, well, first of all, live for the story has been my life philosophy. That's why I have 900 of them. Because I'll go into something and just be like, worst case scenario, it's a good story. I mean, so I say yes to almost every life experience.
100%.
I did Bert's podcast, and a dentist saw me take out my teeth and glue my teeth in at the beginning. I usually glue them in before the camera starts. And so he had me on his podcast and then was like, do you want implants? Which is like $20,000. Wow. And so I said yes. And 3 days later, I got implants.
Wow.
And Brady Smith. And very nice of him. And he, anyway, so someone had given me a CBD pill. It was just supposed to help with the inflammation. And I don't know if because I don't smoke pot or what, was very sensitive to this, but I end up because I hate weed. And I ended up in this kind of like weed type haze where I had this half dream about reality was called a game of mirrors. And everybody, like I had like a RPG view of the world of people projecting their movie onto a mirror being worn by everyone else. And so everyone is just playing their own game and onto each other.
Yeah.
And so if you're playing out some game of a fear of abandonment and you're playing it onto someone who's playing out a game of fear of commitment, and there's all this human conflict everywhere, is just because everyone is only playing their own game without being aware of this is how it works.
Yeah.
Also, I was high, obviously, but I think about that all the time now when I hear people talking about their human interactions. Like, that's exactly what it is. Well, we're just projecting our own version of reality onto other people.
Yeah, and I could always try to cloak it in something that it's not, but I never try to. I always try to be as honest as possible and go, a lot of the people I find myself around are people who have a very, like, their relationship to the truth and to reality is not healthy. You know?
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because in the business that I'm in, I've had to be delusional. I've had to manifest things. Like, I had to walk around going, I'm a comedian. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make money doing comedy. I'll be on TV. I'll do this. I'll do that. And everybody was kind of like, yeah, but no, like, that's nice. But so that's part of what I have to do. And it doesn't excuse all of it. There's probably a million reasons why I hang out with these, carnival tent people, circus acts. I mean, these are circus acts. But one of the things I think is that it's a delusion is an essential component of what I do and what both of you do to an extent. We have to kind of manifest things. We have to take things that are in our heads and make them into jokes and stories and podcasts and whatever, however you're putting your stuff out there in the world. And like, I feel like, so I'm attracted to people who aren't really tethered to reality that much. I like people that are flying around because they make me feel that I can fly around and that things are possible. And like, and there's a darkness to that, but I think the reality, and when you come to LA, it's like all of that. Like everyone's nuts here. Like I have unemployed friends that walk around here and they're like, I want to go to Ireland. I just want to spend time in a castle. And I'm like, that's something a 3-year-old would say. You have no money. How do you get away with saying that and not getting punched in the face by literally anyone who cares about you? And you know what I say? I'm like, it's a beautiful country. It's such a beautiful country. Because I feel like to puncture the insanity is to devalue what this is in a way. It's like if LA got real, it wouldn't exist. I feel like it just, part of what this is just allowing people to go on that fucking journey that, you will either unravel them or whatever. And that's why you see all these celebrities who've been rich and famous forever. Like, at the end of their lives, they crest and they end up like Johnny Depp and stuff. And they're sitting in a castle in London and they're all in debt. And it's like, well, what is this? And it's like, they're finally getting real. They're finally, after years and years and years of this bullshit, fake, vapid, empty business, they're finally, something has come from outside, could be financial, could be disease, death, whatever it is, they're forced to get real, and it's messy and nasty. And that's what I think you see a lot of times that's what's kind of going on in America right now, where it's like,
you think we're all getting real?
I don't know if we're getting real. I think there's a danger that we're with technology and stuff that we're not like, what do you feel? Because you have such an interesting perspective on all this shit. And it's, so much hate, social media, anger, now violence. Where does this go? Where does this end? We have a president who's kind of stoking the flames. We have groups of people online that are, you have hate that's brewing every day, and you're logging on, you're going on your phone, you're getting angry, you're reading tweets, you're like, fuck this person, fuck that person. Where does this go? Like, it seems to be a place that, does it only get worse? Do we all have to log off? That doesn't seem like a possibility. What do we do?
I think social media is just a place where we are seeing it. To me, this entire culmination of events is so obviously the dawn of revolution that it's exciting to me. The whole thing is exciting to me. I believe that we create reality with our thoughts. I believe we have always been creating reality with our thoughts. And I think that I believe you create the reality that you're paying attention to. We talked about this a little bit before. And that maybe some people at the top know that and convince the more powerful people to create a reality that isn't in their best interest by getting them bent on complaining. But I have seen so much change in such a short period of time. And I think the millennial generation doesn't realize how much of their world they changed in such a short period of time. And this uprising of the old guard just seems to me, it sounds so bitch made to me. It just sounds like the Wicked Witch after water has been dumped on her. It sounds like a death. Was that a death? Death
throw?
Yeah. It's just like, the old white man, there's something, and now everyone fighting with each other just really seems like just a bubbling over, and then there'll be no energy left for it. And it feels like the dawning of a new age. And this is the end. And it's the thing I wish we would stop doing is stop talking about how powerful the government is. Stop talking about how powerful your enemy is. Like, stop. Please put a Supreme Court justice in there that makes abortion illegal. Please do. Because then we will realize we still want abortion, so we'll create an app and somehow find a way to get our own abortions. And then that's just one more thing that we realize we don't need. Authority is only authority because you believe that they are authority. If you unplug from the matrix, it ceases to exist. If we collectively unplugged from this idea, the government is something that we made up at some point. It's not a fact. It's not a fact of existence. It's just something that we made up at some point. It doesn't have to be that way. So the more they try to close in I don't think we're going to end up in fucking camps or anything. I think we will just rise up and unplug from it. So
you have a lot of faith in people. Well, and listen, and that's good.
There are a ton of just idiots.
And that's where I diverge a little bit with you because I sadly don't have as much faith in people, but I should get more.
Well, I think Jessa's whole philosophy, we were just talking in the car.
I should get a Mormon boyfriend. Like maybe I need to get more, because what I basically feel like, I agree with you. There's a revolution. Things are happening. Good things are happening. Bad things are happening. I feel like it's almost... I agree with everything you said, but I would almost say it's a revolution that's almost deeper and more fundamental in a weird way, because like I feel like we're starting to merge with technology in a very strange way, in a very unhealthy way. It's very quick that it is happening. And I look at people who exist online only, and you look at these avatars and these people that are going on, Pokemon Go terrified me. I saw people running through Central Park chasing imaginary goblins, and I was like terrified because I'm like, what the fuck's going on? If you remember, that game came out like when we were almost at war with North Korea, or we were maybe not almost at war, but we were having this exchange of fiery words from the Trump and Kim Jong-un, and like you have, or whoever he is, I don't know if he's Kim Jong-un, I think he's Kim Jong-un, but whatever was going on, you had people escaping completely into this pretend world, which was bleeding out into the real world. Like you had people, I thought it was a terrorist attack. I saw people, adults, running around with kids. Everybody's running, looking at their phones, and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, it's a Pikachu. It's a Squirtle. And I called one of my friends and I said, are you terrified like I am? And he's like, I'm playing it. And I'm like, we're fucked. Like, cause this was a smart person I respected. And then I had some other friends that agreed with me, but like, so to me, this augmented reality, like the opportunities we have now to escape and to not face, that's a revolution too. That's scaring me because I don't know where it ends. And like you said, a lot of good things have happened so quickly, but a lot of wild, paradigm shifting things have happened very quickly. We have all these seismic changes in, the way that we live and operate, the way we consume information, the way we relate to each other, the way we communicate, talk, the way it just to me feels like, I don't know where it's going, but I'm a little concerned.
I think what we call reality and what we have all considered reality and the thing that we're pulling away from was not real. I think it was just a collective delusion. It was just a dream that everyone subscribed to.
Are the phones real? Do we escape into the internet? Is Reddit the new world?
I think the next age will be
Reddit.
Half technology, half our consciousness will be more technology.
So you're ready for that. You're like, let's go.
Yeah.
You're ready to upload your consciousness to a fucking screen.
I think we were doing that when we were Egyptian gods. I think that's what all the mummification.
So you're like fucking full steam ahead. I'm ready, and I'm like, I still want to swim.
I'm built for it. Well, I
kind of want to swim in a lake.
I'm ready for the magic, man. I'm ready for the magic.
What about s'mores? You go camping and you eat s'more. I don't go camping, but people camp and they make do you, how far we're getting from nature, and we're going into the machine. Nobody's terrified.
I think why not? If you like s'mores, make a dream that's about s'mores, man. That's it. Like
right.
If that's what you want, if you like nature, make a dream about nature. I think the phone.
You guys are ready to get. You're ready to get up. You're ready to upload yourselves. You're ready.
We are
but this is it. I'm fighting a dying battle. You guys are the future. Like this is the future. If I said anything that I just said to a 15-year-old, they'd be like, "Shut up, faggot," or whatever. They want more. They don't want to live. They don't want to fucking do anything that isn't. Yeah.
Okay. And so I think that the Pokemon Go, I never played it, but I think this augmented reality stuff, I think that phones in general, all this technology is power. It's giving people the power to get more. If they don't like the reality that they're in, they can make a new one. I think that.
But isn't that dangerous when that reality then bleeds out into a synagogue where somebody's shooting? Because there's certain realities where they're like, the Jews control everything, blah blah blah, and then the guy goes and shoots up because we. The problem is if we all go into these little subjective realities, a lot of them are going to be very dark.
And I think the point I was going to make was that I think with technology or without technology, life will still be shit as long as people are shitty. And I think that the way that people stop being shitty is to get introspective, to learn things about themselves, to ask themselves hard questions, and to evolve, allow themselves to evolve. And I see technology as
facilitating that.
Yes.
Okay, interesting, because I see that it can do that, and I've
think
also
there are problems with echo chambers. I think that you can surround yourself with other awful people.
It's almost
but I think that when we see something like Pokemon Go, so for a very funny example, but some sort of augmented reality like that, it teaches us how subjective reality is. That's what I saw. That's what I see. I see, and that makes me question my own reality. If this dude who lives in a reality where Jews are the Satan's helpers or whatever, if he questioned himself at all, if he ever thought to himself, my reality isn't truth, if he ever thought to himself, maybe I am not the objective real, if he had questioned himself at all, I don't think he.
Do you think there's any value? And this is one is to you. Is there any value in objective truth? Is there any value in saying gravity is gravity? Water is water. There's objective truths in the world that are, that can't be, challenged. Or if you challenge them, you have to have a whole lot of evidence in order to make people see them a different way. Or do you think that that everything is basically like gender, for example, is a great topic now to, I think, see this through. There are people that go, there are men and women that are born men and women, and then there are trans people that are men that become women and women that become men, and then there are people that go, gender is a spectrum, much like personalities, and there's an innumerable amount of genders. And that's a issue right now that people are kind of fighting this battle about, because a lot of that stuff is people manifesting their own reality, saying, I'm gender, whatever. And then a lot of people going, well, we have a whole canon of Western science and medicine and biology saying this, and you have your own feelings saying that. Where do you go with the feelings? Do you go with the biology? Because you have a lot of, on one side you have, and not that these things can't change, science evolves, all of these things evolve, but is it dangerous to just tell people that they can just manifest their own reality no matter what the objective scientific, like, is there anything that I know I sound like old guy, I sound like the witch now.
No.
But this is a concern, and I mean, this is because I think at the end of the day, you have a lot of achievements that, the scientific method, for example, is, you have medicine that you would not have had years ago. The way that we've gotten this knowledge, we've acquired this knowledge, is because there are certain processes, there are certain disciplines that people have studied for years and years and years, and they have, and then now you also have people that just go, no, fuck you, I'm that. What do we do with that?
I think, okay, so from like alien school perspective, which could be, I have a brain tumor. As my disclaimer.
Listen, I've not met anyone in this business that does not have a brain tumor.
Yeah, it makes me funny. 18, so this was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
This near-death experience, I talked to aliens. The aliens say that we were playing a three-dimensional, fear-based game that is based on dichotomy. So it's like a program written out, and the premise is this dichotomy: good, bad, right, wrong, light, darkness, male, female, and that those dichotomies are all going to dissolve, and that everything will become everything for a while. Then we are going to be in an 8-dimensional, meaning like so many more, the difference between a triangle and an octagon. So there's all these other aspects to play within the game. And when they said male and female will cease to exist in 2000, I had never heard anything like gender as a construct.
Interesting. So this is, you were saying, and this is why I love having you on, you're fascinating, that this is just a step in evolution.
This is a step in evolution, and that the whole premise of the game, let's say starting with the allegory of Adam and Eve, was in the garden, they accept this program of life and death, this premise that they are separate from God. So the premise of what the alien said is, you are God. You are the God. Period.
Listen,
you created everything you've ever experienced. And this whole journey that mankind has taken is going from the beginning of this game not knowing that they are God and having to go through this entire evolution with other parts of themselves to get to the final conclusion where they realize they were God the entire time.
And then what do you get at the end of the game?
You then play a different game that's way the fuck cooler. So that's why I'm trying to get to that part.
Oh,
Let's get
interesting.
through all
Okay,
this
so
dumb shit
so
and get to the
what's
cool
very
part.
interesting is that you're basically saying that going forward is going to require all of these definitions kind of dissolving.
Yeah.
Borders are going to dissolve.
Parameters is what they call them. Parameters of the game.
And we're going to fuse. And we're going to fuse, you know, the genders will and we're going to fuse with technology, and that's going to allow us to get to that higher plane.
Yeah, so what they described this reality that we're coming out of as dense, and everything's concrete and everyone's locked into this concrete. This is this and this is this, and it will be more light, more energy, where we're moving things with our mind, and technology is creating
Things aren't set in stone.
Yeah, when texting first came out, I was like, what a way to tune people into their telepathic abilities, because you're learning to speak without. This is the beginning of learning to speak without audibly speaking to each other.
So interesting. I
And-
never thought about it like that.
All of technology. I drive in my car and I have a magnet in my heater vent that my phone goes into, and I'm driving in my car and I'm telling the phone to take me to a place, and then I'm telling the phone, and my reality is turning into something out of the future. It does everything. And that opens our mind to what is possible. So what in 1985 people thought was possible was so limited, and what technology is doing is opening our minds so that we can start to realize we are God, we are creators, because now the realm of what's possible. That's why this thing about the Supreme Court judges, this is a dead system of authority. It doesn't matter. We don't need gatekeepers for anything. And this is my one. I never want to sound anti-science, but just this need to be told what is real by someone other than yourself. We went from believing in religion is the answer to now it's science. Now I need someone that I don't know, that I've never met, that's probably funded by a corporation, to do a study that I don't understand, to tell me what's real. I can't say, hey, if I don't eat this food, I feel better. You know, like I don't eat gluten because I won't shit if I eat gluten. And the doctors didn't tell me that. I figured that out on my own. But then I tell someone and they want to criticize me.
Like,
because
have you seen a doctor diagnosed you?
Like, I know when the fuck I'm shitting. Like I can make that decision for myself. I don't need someone outside of myself. So I live my life according to what makes sense for me. And I don't need the collective delusion. I don't care if I sound... I'm happier than you are.
Right.
I'm happier than all of the people criticizing me. I'm more successful than all the people criticizing me. I decide I'm going to do something and everyone tells me I can't do it, and I figure out a way to do it because I'm not listening to a bunch of other followers. It's not real because everyone believes it. That doesn't make it real.
But why can't we do blackface? You know what I mean? Like that's what I wanted to ask this whole time. We've done a lot of horse shit about evolution, but like, when do we get to do blackface again? Did the aliens tell you that? Did they tell you that at the end, then they go, and how did we win the game? Well, we all come together and fuse and then blackface. Is that it? You are a fascinating character. One of the things I like about, and this is, you know, and you're going to know this dating her, you can't put her in a box. Like, you can't back her into a corner. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to argue with her, and not even argue because this is what we do. We're challenging. But the thing about Jessa, which I find very fascinating, is that she's playing a different game. I love that when she goes, I'm happier than you. There's something so powerful in that. And I'm not even kidding. No. There's something so powerful about, why isn't it the happier person that wins the argument? Why isn't it the person who's more harmonious that win? But we have such a system of, we look at a debate and it's like, who wrecked who? Who got shredded?
Yeah.
Who got destroyed? But the reality is, I love hitting that wall with her where she goes, the reality of the situation is, I listen to myself. I have a real relationship with my subconscious, with my body, with all and I listen to it. And that's, I think, big. And I think that's something that so few people do. And I think that's what's interesting. We talked about the gatekeepers in the entertainment business, and you were saying how much you like that you can just go to people because we're in a different time now. And comedy's in an interesting time because I think we're moving, not that jokes aren't important or that jokes don't have to be there, but we're moving into the era of stories in a way, because I think people want more than jokes. And
absolutely. And that what a fantastic, this is one thing we bonded over is both of our comedy is very sad. Our comedy is very funny, sad stories that are autobiographical and very raw. And I have been doing that kind of comedy the entire time I've done comedy, and before it was popular. Yeah. So it's great that we're moving into that era because I'm prepared for that era, but that is something.
And when did you get into comedy? Like, what was it?
I started at Brigham Young University. That's the first place I did stand
What
up.
the fuck is a comedy show like at Brigham Young University?
Amazing.
What contract do you sign before that?
It's a tough one. It's squeaky clean, but the crowds are so eager because none of them are coming. They can't come, and so they're just like, they have all this energy. So that every joke you tell, they're like, yeah.
Wow.
It's very confidence boosting.
Because they're not coming. They need something.
They need something, and it's me, baby.
That's so. What is the next stage for what you guys try to do together? I mean, professionally.
What, me and Jessa?
Yeah. What's the next? Are you excited about any particular thing? Are you like, we're taking the show on the road? Are there places you want to go? Are there,
We've been touring. We've been doing stand-up. We like that a lot. We both really enjoy just performing stand-up, and so I hope that we keep doing that. It's cool. It's the first time that we've had fans. We can book shows where we want to go, and there are fans there that pay us for the tickets. You know, it's really great. I've been a club middle out in the West, living in Salt Lake City for years now, just performing for $300 for a week at a place in Boise, you know. And now we can set our own tour dates and have people come and pay us directly. It's fucking fantastic. I love that. But we also have got other projects that we're working on. We're really excited about the directions that we can take the podcast. It's still very new, but it blew up, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what it's going to be. We have like alternating things where she talks about alien school, and then I teach Sunday school, and I just like rehash Book of Mormon stories and stuff. It's really, really good. We're working on pitching a few projects right now, and I don't know if we want to talk about
No, don't.
Okay.
Don't ever talk about anything until it's happened. And then even after it's happened, don't talk about it. People ask me all the time, they go, you have a special ad? I go, I refuse to discuss it. You guys are great. You know, it's like I love having Jess on the show. When it's good to meet you.
Thank you.
And you're great too. But it's really interesting to meet people that are in like a new phase. And I feel like this is not you guys you'll be in new phases for the rest of your life.
I think so too.
You know? And that's the difference, I think, between people like you guys and other people out there. There is something really cool about people that have kind of walked down some dark paths and figured a way out of that. I think those are a special kind of person, you know? And, that I think is what makes you guys so interesting to hear and listen to, is because you guys, very different paths, but you were denying yourself for a very long time. Right. And now you're like, it's all about you in a positive way, not in like a shitty, vapid look at me way, but like, you're like, I'm centering myself and like, you know, what I need. And that's going to make me a better father, a better, you know, boyfriend. And that's fucking cool.
Thank you for nailing it. We are doing the exact same thing. It's what makes it so interesting is that we did come from these polar opposite, diametrically opposed areas, but the process to change is still the same.
Right.
Like just the things that we learned about changing, the dynamics of becoming a different person are the same. And but another cool part of the match is just that like she can give me all the, like I didn't like myself before Jessa, really. Like I didn't have confidence. And I looked at Jessa and I was like, how do you have so much fucking confidence? Why you can say the craziest shit. She was just talking about inventing it like Uber aborts app. And she's good. She's she's looking at me like, how do you hug people? Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
What's that like? And we can trade these qualities and like assimilate them from each other, and like go through this dynamic together.
Where can people find you if they want to hear more? And I'm sure they do. Where can they go?
Mormon and the Meth Head is the name of our podcast. MormonandTheMethHead.com. It's not on Spotify right now. We're having some technical difficulties, but it's on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever you guys listen to. It's probably on it. And
if they want to see live shows, where can they go to find that?
When does this come out?
Sunday.
Yeah.
It'll come out Sunday.
So Tuesday you can see Aaron.
No, Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday,
the 7th.
November 7th. You can see Aaron at TBS's Comics to Watch. New York Comedy Festival.
Oh, yeah,
Caroline,
baby.
7 p.m.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's a good show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's a fun show, dude. It's a cool thing. The festival's a lot of fun. I do a bus tour in it. I perform on a bus.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
We're
perform
gonna
on a
come
bus.
watch that.
I don't do clubs or theaters anymore because, with all due respect, I think they're hack, and I think
Everyone's done it.
I think every comic performing in a club or theater right now, without exception, is a loser. To be honest, I don't care who they are. I think the only real comics are on public transportation, to be honest. That's why I perform on a double-decker tour bus, and nobody else does because they're pussies. So
Where do you stand? On the top deck or the bottom deck?
I stand on the top deck, and and we do a tour in New York, and we talk about human trafficking and money laundering and all the things that make the city great.
Are there people on the bottom deck that are listening in?
No, they're on the top deck looking at
all
all
on
the
the top
buildings.
deck.
We look in the
Okay.
windows. We talk about the cycles of money that replace each other. We talk about these 1%, the aliens. Not the aliens, but the reptiles. You know, all the people that control things. People want to know, why do they control things? Is it, what is it about them? And I try to explain to people that they are different than you. They do not have emotions, or their emotions are kept under, they control their emotions. Justice really gets a lot of this shit. Like these people, and their circles are very small. Even though they're global, they're very small, and their power is only that which we give them,
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
But, there is that, world out there of people that are, insanely wealthy. A lot of the things they do, they really are very comfortable with, pursuing non-democratic means of affecting the way that societies work. They don't necessarily take their agenda to the people. They take it to each other first. And they get consensus with each other. They don't build a consensus with people. They build it with each other. And then they take it to the media. And then the media gives it to us. And then they go, here are your choices. Are you this or that? And you go, okay.
Yep.
But all of that stuff is done at a very, very high level. And I don't get as into the metaphysical as Jessa does, which is really the more important, because I'm never going to lead you out of this. I'm going to lead you out. At the end of my bus tour, you'll either you'll have despair, or you'll go try to work for these people. Either or, because I'm not giving you the tools on the emotional, spiritual level to break out of the matrix.
Yeah, Jessa offers the escape.
She offers the escape, and I've never claimed to. But what I am showing you, we're taking, if you want to tour the matrix as it exists in New York City, I will show you the Matrix. That's what it is. I'll show you the Matrix. And I'll show you where they have fusilli with red wine braised octopus and bone marrow. Spaghetti with Santa Barbara crab and sea urchin. The Matrix is good. Being in the Matrix is good. And I know that it's not good, but it's good.
Oh, isn't that what the guy wanted to go back
what
to the
Cypher-
Matrix
yeah.
for? Was just food?
He's eating not braised octopus and bone marrow, but he's
It's something.
ignorance is bliss.
Do you have a website where people can check out live dates if they want?
Just MormonandtheMethhead.com has everything.
MormonandtheMethod.com. Listen to their podcast. They're fucking great. Jessa Reed, Aaron Woodall, TimDillonComedy.com for some live dates. It's in the middle of a redesign. Don't tweet me that there's a problem with it. It'll be done soon. Enough. Tim J. Dillon, Dillon on Twitter and Instagram. We're putting out some funny videos. We're doing some cool shit. Ray Kump will be back next week. He is in New York. We're recording from Los Angeles from Avery Studios in LA. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Goodbye.